what you are feeding it. And the body is an emotional filter. So whenever you're excited, right? As we talked about this yesterday, whenever you're excited and whatever you say at that time of that excitement, that literally becomes your own mantra. Right? Because you have an energetic connection to that idea, that picture, that goal, et cetera, that you've linked to that bodily expression and or tone that you emitted at that time. And this is why I always tell my members this. Listen, I can give you the skeleton, but don't be afraid to put the meat on the bones yourself. Because what feels good to you may not be the blueprint for somebody else and how they feel.
Right.
In relationship to what it is that they're seeking to manifest. Now, in relationships to body movement, and I put this in the slideshow, but I can get into it now so that the people can kind of get a firmer idea about what Tony Robbins was expressing in that video that you sent me yesterday. There was a study done in one of these universities in Chicago. I think it might have been Chicago Booth University, where they were showing how people who believed that they had been hexed or some type of bad luck was present amongst them. Do you know in this study, certain bodily movements and or motions change the psychological parameters of the person who thought that they were being hexed or bad lucked or having a negative observation made on them? Case in point, one of the motions, right, was literally throwing salt away from the body. So what they discovered was anytime somebody had an idea that something negative was happening, and the reason that I'm giving it to you guys in this form first is because everything can be reverse engineered.
Facts. Right, they say that. Facts.
So if they're showing you how to propel things or repel things away from projecting bodily motions out and away from the body, right? What happens when you start to do this? When you're making thrusting motions like this. You follow what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden the psychology has reversed, and now you're drawing closer to yourself. You're filling your mind up with the psychology of, yes, I can do this. Yes, I am going to do this. Yes, this is happening to me now. Predicated upon the body motions and movements that you may be doing at a particular time. But if you're unconscious about that, or you don't know, then you just don't know. But we do it all of the time. If you pay attention, like, listen, when somebody's successful, like we was talking yesterday in sports, people always do this.
Yeah.
Right? We see, or even, listen, even for the church community, in the church crowd, right? When they be in the congregation in the pews, Rich, don't their hands be up like this?
Yep. Hallelujah.
They be in their own zone. It's right. They say it again. Now, now, even when you see this symbol here, that takes you back to the Ka in Egypt. That looks like a goalpost.
Yes.
Interesting enough, like your goals that you're seeking to manifest, right? But anyways, they say that that symbol represents the force that animates all things. So when a person is here with it, their body is giving them the indication of what they should be doing to invoke the feeling or the incantation, as Tony Robbins would say, or as he said in the video. So another example of this with motion, because remember, you know, in the beginning, the earth was void and without form. And then what did they say? And then the Spirit of God moved.
Yes.
Motion. Moved upon the face of the deep, right? So remember the what was it? The Woman King came out. The movie came out maybe a year or two ago. And as I was studying that movie, looking at the Dahomey tribe, came across something very interesting. Do you know the Africans that sold off slaves from that particular region in the Dahomey tribe? Guess what they used to have the people that they were selling off do before they actually got on the boat?
What?
They would have them walk around this tree called the tree of forgetfulness.
Right. I heard about that. Yeah.
In a ritual to have them go around in a circular motion, right? In order for them to forget who they were, so that if they ever came back to the shores, they wouldn't have animosity with the people who put them on the boats. But I'm only referencing that to show you motion.
Motion, yeah.
Tied into an intention to have a shift in the psychology of the individual. You see? So the Sufis got their swirl dance.
Facts.
Where they spinning. Now, if you look at that word moved, it actually translates to mean to hover, to shake, to shift. And I said, oh, we Harlem shaking, huh? we crip walking out on the West Coast, right? So we got all these cultural dances. And then even when you go back to Native American culture, even African culture, they would have ceremonies where they would dance before they went into wars.
Yeah.
So movement is closely related, because everybody talks about as above, so below, macro, micro, right? Everything is related. So when we start to talk about quantum mechanics and quantum physics, you start to see some of those similar words: vibrate, shaking, all of these different type of words that are indicative of some of these entries in that early part of Genesis in association with the Hebrew word for moved. So what we're doing is we're mimicking, or if we can mimic, what is happening at a micro scale on a quantum scale, then it will reproduce itself in a macro or in the objective world. So all Tony was trying to tell us was get moving, right? Add some motion, i.e. motion pictures, to your dynamic, because your vain repetitions aren't enough.
Indeed. Before you get started, you and also we was talking about words that may trigger something in our psychology, and I noticed with children, because I was watching my son today. He was in bliss. When children, we teach them what language is, and we tell them what this means, what that is, what that means, and they learn from watching us. But there's just certain words that they just say out of pure joy or happiness. So he's jumping. I got this rebounder to exercise on, because I hear about the benefits of rebounding. So it's just a trampoline. So I was on the trampoline. He said, "Daddy, can I have my turn?" He get on the trampoline. Once he start jumping, first word that come out his mouth when he's in pure joy, "Wee." So for a child, there's something about "wee," something about that word in their psychology. When they're blissful, when they're ecstatic about something, that word just comes out, "wee." So I'm like, that's very interesting, man. That's very interesting.
That's right. It's a natural thing.
Yeah.
Because they all say that.
Yeah.
And don't know each other from a can of paint.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you got a presentation you want to share with us, man, today?
I do, man. Let me see what happens.
Let
me try to let me see, Rich. Hold on.
man, I'm
Because man,
oh
y'all
yeah,
know.
yeah. While you get that, yeah, while you's getting that together, yeah. Somebody commented on the piece that I'm wearing. This is Hank. Yeah, Carlos, I think you already know. You was on the show the other day. Hank will have these at the conference. He will have these specially made for the conference. He got a few now, but he ain't really selling them like that now. But he will have these at the conference. So there's going to be stuff there that y'all have never seen in your lives before, family. But this is absolutely it. This is amazing. This is Hank. I told Hank, this is his best piece yet, hands down. Even wearing it, you can feel the energy. He even gave me one to put my water on, or my drinks on when I'm drinking. Just rested on here. But Hank is gonna have a ton of products at the conference. Once again, the link is pinned at the top. I'm gonna share it again. There's so much going on with this conference, and if you just came in the room, Minister Jew will be there in Atlanta. August 10th and 11th is going down, family. Make sure you get your tickets. Make sure you're there. Can't wait to see you all there. But shout out to Hank for putting this together and for getting this ready for the conference. All right.
Rich, can you see my screen? Great. So shout out to the chat, man. Y'all hit the like button, man. Get the algorithm going. Let people know we in here, man. I got some slides. I'm gonna try my best to get through this as fast as I can. But so this was just the proof, because I said I had this in the opening conversation piece that I'm having with Rich here. But here you go. Bad luck knocking on wood can undo perceived jinx. Study says Y'all can go back and kind of look at this slide. I'm not going to go through this again. But a new study finds that certain superstitions actually do reverse perceived bad fortune. This is science, y'all. This is from University of Chicago Booth School of Business, October 1st, 2013. Here's kind of like the study in there where they talked about, the throwing of things away from the body, avoidant reactions. These are just some tips and some tools that you could use if you're under the suggestion that something's happening to you. Oftentimes it's just our own perception most of the time, but it's just some jewels in this article that were really, really potent that we actually used as a right inside of the solar eclipse that happened a couple months back. We actually used some of this information inside of some of the private exercises that we did. Here's the tree of forgetfulness, just so you can see it. I had it in a slideshow. If you want to go back and read it, you can. But here it is. The kings of the Dahomey kingdom in West Africa sold thousands of Africans to slave traders. The kings make slaves walk in circles around the tree of forgetfulness so that their spirits wouldn't remember the terrible things they suffered and come back to curse the kings. I wanted to share this picture. For those that don't know who this is me. And on the right of me on this, from where I'm standing or sitting, this is Blair Anderson, Black Panther, who was in the house the night that Fred Hampton was murdered, right? And every year at Fred Hampton's address where that tragic incident happened, on his birthday, they hold these huge memorials out there. And this is one of the years that I went. And the reason that I added this is because it lends credence to the article that I shared from the Chicago University. When Blair was out there telling this story that afternoon, he was actually shot in the house too that night. But in the house, it was a woman who was present. And all of the Panthers that were in the house were the police had already came in, obviously had let let all these rounds off, obviously killed Fred, shot 2 or 3 other brothers in the house, et cetera, et cetera. The Panthers were kind of like huddled up, and this sister was kind of like acting as a protectant almost. Like they were in front of her, and she was like almost like holding them. And he gave the story, and he said as the police came into the room, he said they all thought they were going to die. And he said this sister intuitively started, listen to this, Rich. He said she started spitting like in all different directions, spitting, and chanting these words. And he said he don't know what that sister was doing. He said, but the police lowered their guns and went outside and waited for the rest of the backup to come to take them out and get them to the hospital. Now, if you go back and you read that article that I posted from Chicago Booth, you'll see that one of the methodologies, strange enough, was spitting out and away from the body.
Wow.
Real spill. So I just wanted to add that for some context to give people an idea about the power of motion and movement. All right. So we call in the title tonight, Becoming the Living Word, writing your new Bible. So a lot of y'all might have saw that title and said, oh yeah, we got to write a new Bible. Nah, no, we don't. What I want to tell the people tonight is this. If I say what is the word of God, you may say the Bible. Well, you're partially right. But I don't think I've shared this before over here, Rich. I think I mentioned it, but I never showed it. Here is the word, or the Greek translation for the word of God. This is straight out of the Strong's Concordance of the Bible. It's logos. Now, I want y'all to look at this carefully. It is something said via a thought, subject of discourse, but listen, reasoning, the mental faculty, by extension, a computation. Now, I want to just stop right there. I want to stop right there because we got a few things here that we got to deal with. Your mental faculty, your thoughts, what you're saying, and this computation. So what I'm going to say here tonight is this. Inside of that book that people got, everybody got an opinion on it. Some people threw it away, threw the baby out with the bathwater. Some people still read it. Some people got all kind of whatever they feel about it. But I'm going to tell you something, man, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I'm going to tell you. The results that I've gotten, and I'm not talking about me personally, even though I'm doing great. The results that people have gotten over my decade of teaching out of this book is second to none. And I mean that. The results that people get from applying these principles, the way that I teach it, is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So do with this what you will, but I'm just telling you, you may want to have to make some reassessments if it's just going to be more than about knowledge, or is it about actual results? That's the question that you got to ask yourself. But tonight, I want to say this. Inside this book, they're teaching you how to master your mental faculties. They're teaching you how to master mind and speech. They've encoded in the parables, the allegories, the similes, the idioms, all through the book, how to unravel the computation. Right? So let's deal with this, Jew. Because they said what you say. So these are words, right? So I want to open up with Ephesians 4:22 through 23. It says, that ye put off concerning the former conversations of the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. So they're telling you something. I'm going to tell you why a lot of people out here struggling. Because they keep holding on to that same old conversation piece in their mind, Rich. They keep going over the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over from something that they know not going to yield them any results because it hasn't for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. So your conversation piece that you're having in your own mind is what's predicating what shows up in your objective world. Now, you probably hear this all the time, but the question is, how do you put it in a practical application, Minister Jew? And it tells you to be renewed in the spirit of your own mind, not somebody else, not some outside deity, not some outside force, but in the spirit of your own mind. That's key. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. Because I said they encoded this thing and showed you how to master these things. But let me show you what it says in Mark 9:21. It says, a desperate and lonely woman who had been ill for years came to Jesus for healing. Listen to this, Rich. For she said, where? Within herself. Huh? If I may touch his garment, I shall be whole. So she had an inner conversation, didn't she, Rich?
Indeed, yeah.
She had a conviction in her own mind of what she thought was possible. See, Jesus Christ just represents the ultimate placebo.
Facts.
That's it. And when you read the placebo case studies, you see it says it. The placebos work better for the people who actually believe their doctor is a great doctor. The impact is better. They have a higher rate with the placebo if they